Every Sunday at 5 p.m. Studio B for Strange Universe. For Strange Universe.
Join Revolution Radio every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Studio B for Momentary Zen with host Zen Garcia at freedomslips.com, the People Station.
Are you a fan of rock and roll? Does it get your feet tapping and your hands clapping? Then be sure to check out Crip Rick's Rock and Roll Hour every Friday night, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern and Standard Time on Studio B right here at revolutionradio.com, where we get down and talk all things rock.
This is the people's war. It is our war. We are the fighters. Fight it then. Fight it with all that is in us. And may God defend the right.
Warning! Warning!
We gotta stop them! They're gonna kill us all! See how the trouble you've started? Be they the government, be they industry, be they organized labor, be they anyone, or human beings. Time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart. You can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, on all the apparatus. Go run it, go on it, and unless the brain machine will be prevented from working at all.
Radio at freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported talk radio station, throwing ourselves upon the gears of the machine. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
You called down the thunder, well now you got it.
Right, you tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me.
Revolution Radio.
You're tuned to something different. No scripts, no limits, just pure, unfiltered thought. This is Free Association. Your host, Dennis Barker, brings you the ideas, the questions, and the tangents that matter. Joined by the sharp wit and insight of Karen and the one, the only Dr. Lenny Time. 3 minds, 2 hours, 0 guardrails. Free Association, because the best conversations never stay on topic. Join Dennis, Karen, and Dr. Lenny Time Thursdays at noon Eastern, Studio B, here on Revolution Radio.
The spice expands consciousness. The spice is vital to space travel.
And greetings, Earth Explorers. Welcome to X Squared Radio. I'm your host, Brooks Agnew, coming to you live from an undisclosed location east of the Appalachian Mountains. This is where the past meets the future, and in here the results are always positive. We might go a little past your imagination, but have no fear. You will be safely traveling with us as we endeavor to treat, cure, and prevent the disease of ignorance. This is the voice of the revolution. And we are streaming to you live with our good friends at Revolution Radio on freedomslips.org, the #1 listener-supported network in the entire country. We're also streaming to you live on several video platforms all at the same time on Rumble and YouTube and Twitch, DLive, Foxhole, Truth Refugee. Yeah, everywhere where good podcasting can be found live and free. Big D 1955 was the first one in the chat room tonight. Karen Draper is here. K.O. Kelly. Bosk Burning, Bayonet. Jim Roddle is here. Good customer. Old Lace is here. Andrew Gibbs. S. Barnett is here. Mara Cove Seppian, always good input. Let's see. Yeah, I'll answer that question at the top of the hour, K.O. Kelly, about the fenbendazole. Let's see. Tupac Sugar is here. Oh, good. This is good. Boy Dogs 2 is here. Woof Woof Original. Old Dog. Yeah, this is going to be good. Spartan Roger. Wrecking Ball is here. See, this is going to be a good crowd. We're going to mix it up tonight. Norma 2310, that's a new name over there on YouTube. Good to see you here. Handyman 0090 is here. And on Foxhole, we just have Pool Dude in, but we'll have more. The night is young. So just to jump right into it, it was kind of interesting to watch last night. Once again, the global syndicate's trillion-dollar machine printed enough counterfeit mail-in ballots to wipe out all but one Republican congressman in Virginia. With 95% of the vote in, the redistricting referendum passed. 1,543,746 votes for it, and that was 51.4% of the vote. On the other side, 48.7% of the voters rejected the redistricting. But it was kind of interesting how it happened, The no's had it all day long until Fairfax County came in late, mysteriously with 35,000 mail-in ballots, all yeses, and took the day. During an interview with MS Now in early April, Representative Suhas Subramaniam, he's a Democrat, he questioned how there was no money for Medicaid or to feed kids or to make healthcare more affordable while there was money to continue the ongoing war with Iran. He added that the Trump administration's priorities were to fund ICE and continue forever wars, and he shared that he felt the redistricting referendum was going to be successful because of this, which basically you're disenfranchising about 48% of the state. As a result of the referendum passing, the new map could shift Virginia's congressional delegation from a 6-5 split, which is actually where the state is right now, to 10-1 favoring Democrats. The communist in charge, Abigail Spanberger, who totally changed from running as a moderate, she came in and went completely red, completely communist, argued that the Republicans understood that the only way they could possibly maintain a majority in the House of Representatives, which, by the way, doesn't have a damn thing to do with Virginia, was if they cheated, if they went seeking seats in places like Texas, which is why the president began this effort. Let's see. There was a host on one of the shows asked her a question. You've just come from the House of Representatives to the governorship. In this last election, in your view, what would it mean if the Republicans were able to conspire with Donald Trump to increase the number of Republicans in the House of Representatives so that they could cling to control of the House of Representatives for 2 more years? And she answered, well, I think they very much understood that the only way they could possibly maintain a majority in the House of Representatives, of course, they have a slim majority at the moment, was if they cheated. If they went seeking seats in places like Texas. Well, that's not exactly true. We thought it was going to go. We thought the no's were going to have it. They were wrapped around the block, every single precinct in the state. But it didn't matter because Fairfax County wouldn't report anything until after they got the 35,000 mail-in ballots. Just enough to win the state. However, a judge a few hours later ruled that what they did was unconstitutional. A Virginia judge issued a ruling blocking Virginia from moving forward with certifying the results of a special election regarding a redistricting referendum that would possibly allow Democrats to gain 4 congressional seats. Absolutely disenfranchising 5 Democrat seats, or disenfranchising 5 Republican seats. These counties all are red from border to border, but the way the district is drawn, there's no way Republicans can get a majority. So in the ruling from the Tazewell Circuit Court Judge Jack Hurtley, which was issued today, we waited for it and it came out. The judge explained that the process underlying the referendum broke several state laws and that certifying the vote would harm the Republican lawmakers in the state. The Tazewell court ruling does the following. Declare that any and all votes for or against the proposed constitutional amendment on April 21st, 2026 special election are ineffective. So the global syndicate wasted all their money trying to steal Virginia, enjoins defendants and their successors from certifying the results. That means you can't do it, and enjoins them. The ruling by the court comes after the redistricting referendum passed, blah, blah, blah. As a result of the referendum passing, Virginia's congressional delegation could go from a closely divided 6-5 split, what we call a purple state, to a deep blue state 10-1 advantage. Virginia Attorney General Jay Jones, also a Democrat, said his office would immediately file an appeal and added that an activist judge should not have veto power over the people's vote. Really? Isn't that what the hell you've been doing all year long for the last year? Activist judges overriding the people's vote? Gosh, these people I don't know. You get it. You get it. My office will immediately file an appeal in the Court of Appeals, Jones said. As I said last night, Virginia voters have spoken, and an activist judge should not have veto power over the people's vote. Right. Well, there's going to be a little thing called discovery, and we're going to find out 35,000 dead people voted in this election. You're all going to go to jail for trying to steal the election. So there's more to it than this redistricting effort. It's kind of a last-ditch effort. Spanberger's playing along with it because her husband's making buku dollars right now. Her and her friends got numerous no-bid, sole source contracts worth millions. She is raking in the cash, boys. But there's more. We also made a little headway because Chiriflus McCormick was stealing FEMA funds. You remember the hurricane, right? Helene that came through and spanked everybody. And yeah, well, turns out there were Congress people who skimmed funds. They skimmed FEMA funds to make themselves rich. Bought diamonds, paid for vacations, bought houses. She announced her resignation yesterday and submitted a formal resignation letter to the House Speaker, Mike Johnson. They took her nameplate off the desk. Another Democrat bites the dust. First Swalwell and then Chiriflus McCormick. She described the ethics process as a witch hunt and said, well, because she was getting ready to go through an ethics hearing and they would have stripped her of everything. Chiriflus McCormick's formal resignation letter to Johnson stated, quote, I hereby resign my office from the 119th Congress as representative for Florida's 20th Congressional District, effective Tuesday, blah, blah, blah. Chiriflus McCormick wrote, after careful reflection and prayer, in other words, after looking at my 5-carat diamond, yellow diamond that I bought for myself for $100,000, I have concluded that it is in the best interest of my constituents and the institution that I step aside at this time. She added that she remained committed to supporting a smooth transition and ensuring continuity of service for the district. Ethics Committee Chairman Michael Guest, he's a Republican, said this, in light of Ms. McCormick's resignation earlier today, the Committee on Ethics has now lost jurisdiction on this matter. There will not be a sanctions hearing. The resignation came after months of mounting legal and ethics issues. A federal grand jury in Miami indicted Chiriflus in November of 2025, alleging she and her brother, Edwin Chiriflus, diverted a $5 million FEMA overpayment tied to a 2021 COVID-19 vaccination contract through their family company, which was called Trinity Healthcare Services. Yeah, I wonder how many people they actually helped. Prosecutors allege some of the money was routed through multiple accounts and used to fund Chiriflus McCormick's 2021 congressional campaign, make straw donor contributions. I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. And benefit the defendants personally. She also was accused of conspiring with former tax preparer David K. Spencer to file a false federal tax return. Gotta kind of hide that stuff. You can't really show, hey, I made $5 million extra this year. No. Of course, she pled not guilty, denied wrongdoing, blah, blah, blah. You can't do this because I'm black. Committee had found overwhelming evidence supporting the allegations and broader misconduct involving campaign finance laws and regulations. Criminal laws led to campaign finance misconduct, and there are more people, by the way, that are going to be pulled down in this. It boils down to this. When you have outlived your usefulness for the Democrat Party, this is how you're going to go down. Same with Eric Swalwell, same with Gallego. You're going to watch this happen with him in the next coming days or week. He's going to go down. There are going to be others that go down. She argued the process violated her due process rights. Whatever. You were caught, lady. She was deeply disappointed the committee moved forward while the criminal case was pending. In other words, I had time. I could have stuffed my pockets with a little bit more money. I could have made sure I had a pension from this place. Not now. Not now. You have to serve 2.5 terms. 2.5 terms to get that pension. She's out of there, and all that money is going to be recovered through restitution, and she's going to be as broke as she was when she went in. Now, let's talk a little bit about the money laundering, because What, Tupac's the aliens are checking me out? Oh, I hope so. I hope they're checking me out. They haven't paid any attention to me since I've been here, so I honestly don't think so. There's a little company that the Democrats have that launders cartel money, billions of dollars of cartel money. How do they do it? Well, one of the Democrats' largest programs to launder foreign money into their campaign funds is called Act Blue. It's called Act Blue. They took billions of dollars in BLM funds. They stole thousands of elderly donor IDs and laundered cartel funds through them to make hundreds of millions in campaign contributions in other people's names. Those people had no idea they were making the contributions. This is how Kamala Harris got her money. This is how tons of Democrats made tons of money and were able to run campaigns that basically nobody listened to. Nobody cared. And they got caught by Veritas. Oh yeah, caught them red-handed. And now the hearings begin. The House Judiciary Committee, House Administration Committee, and House Oversight and Government Reform Committee released a report. The report was titled Fraud on Act Blue, Part 2, Illicit Foreign Donations and a Cover-Up, Sour Mass Resignations and Firings on Act Blue's Legal and Compliance Team. So you'd think that they're busted, right? They're busted. We're going to haul them in, put them before the committees, put them at the table, swear them in under oath, right? Now we're going to get to the bottom of this. And the press release revealed that the 5 current or former employees at Act Blue who appeared for depositions had all claimed the 5th. Yep, they claimed the 5th against their self-incrimination during questioning. Not 10, not 100, but 146 times they claimed the 5th. And now you see how the Democrat machine works. The committees conducted 5 depositions with key Act Blue fraud prevention and legal personnel to obtain more information about the fraud prevention failures detailed in the committee's first report and the cover-up detailed there. The employees invoked their 5th Amendment right against self-incrimination in response to every single one of the committee's substantive questions. Their unwillingness to testify only amplifies the committee's concerns and mine. The 120-page report explains that the 3 House committees are charged with ensuring the integrity of American elections, adding that the committees are examining allegations that Act Blue, a leading political fundraising organization, allowed bad actors, including foreign actors, to exploit its online platform to make fraudulent political donations. I think it's worse than that, Mr. Committee members. I think they solicited the foreign money. They didn't just let these foreign money people take advantage of them. They solicited it. And they probably skimmed some of it. On April 2nd, 2025, the committee published a staff report detailing initial findings from our investigation into Act Blue's fraud prevention practices. Internal documents produced to the committees by Act Blue and its fraud prevention contractor, SIFT, reflect a fundamentally unserious approach to fraud prevention at Act Blue, one that has left the door open for large-scale fraud campaigns on Democrats' top fundraising platform. Everything from BLM on, everything was fraud. Let's see here. Internal trainings directed Act Blue's fraud prevention team to look for reasons to accept contributions rather than examine them closely for indications of fraud. As required by federal regulation, Act Blue took this lax approach to fraud prevention, even though it has detected at least 22 significant fraud campaigns, because they thought they were going to win. You get it? They knew that if they could win Congress, none of this would ever come to light. No investigation would ever be done. None of them would ever have to take the fifth. They could all retire in luxury because no one would ask a damn thing about it. But now that's not what happened, is it? What happened is the people spoke, and we put Republicans in Congress. And now these committees, which are all led by Republicans, are now saying, hey, wait a minute. What the hell's going on with all this money coming in? You know, little Ethel over here, they said she made 11,200 donations of $7 a piece. She doesn't know anything about it. Oh, they stole Ethel's identity. How could that happen? Well, we were looking for ways to accept them. I mean, they're all small donations, right? $7 a piece. Who's going to look, right? But it's 11,200 of them. Well, you know, hey, it's $7 a piece. The last remaining lawyer on Act Blue's legal team, his name is Zain Ahmad, went on leave and had his access to his internal systems revoked in late February of 2025. Ahmad reportedly claimed that he had been retaliated against by Act Blue staff for blowing the whistle on internal conduct. That's what he claimed. Committees requested documents and communications from Act Blue related to the staff turmoil and alleged retaliation. Act Blue suspended its voluntary cooperation with the committee's oversight in June of 2025. We ain't saying nothing to nobody. The report continues to share that documents produced to the committee subpoenas show that employees from Act Blue's legal and compliance team left the company after the 2024 presidential election. They didn't win, and they knew their ass was grassed. So they decided to empty out their desk, cool the seat, and get the hell out of Dodge, trying to hide as much money as they could. That's exactly what happened. The employees reportedly knew of the platform's acceptance of legal foreign contributions, but they didn't think they'd get caught because they thought they raised enough money that the Democrats could take Congress. Every member of Act Blue's legal and compliance team has resigned, or they've been fired, or they went on extended leave, and they're nowhere to be found. Every one of them. An unidentified Act Blue senior workflow specialist managing fraud prevention, and Alyssa Toomey, the former vice president of customer service, were issued subpoenas in June of last year. They had plenty of time to burn everything. Several other people, including Darren Hurwitz, who previously served as the general counsel for Act Blue, and Zain Ahmad, a former lawyer for Act Blue's legal team, received subpoenas in September of last year, according to my sources. You think it's going to come down? You think Act Blue is going to stop doing it? Maybe. But it's kind of funny because these committees, they're not done. They're not done. They're not leaving any stone, unturned, except for one, and I'll explain that here in a little bit. Front and center in the reign of the judges is a very well-funded and powerful agency. You've heard of it. I'm sure you have. The Southern Poverty Law Center. Oh, they love to sue people. Defamation and discrimination and oh my gosh. So a federal grand jury in Alabama has now indicted the Southern Poverty Law Center on not one, not five, but 11 counts yesterday, charging the civil rights nonprofit with defrauding donors through a concealed program that paid members of the Ku Klux Klan and other extremist groups. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche and the FBI Director Kash Patel said. Now, you notice that it doesn't say Attorney General Pam Bondi, because Attorney General Pam Bondi didn't do a damn thing about this. Nothing. She was good on prisons and crimes, but she was not good on this kind of deep state stuff. She hid it. She passed it off. She cooled it. She pushed it to the edge of her desk and didn't do anything with it. Todd Blanche is, from my memory, he's a veteran prosecutor, and he could tear you up within 5 minutes. Just really goes after people. But now he was the acting assistant attorney general all while Pam Bondi was in office. But he never went around her. He never went up against her. So I have my doubts about Todd Blanche. I just have my doubts. I think Harmeet would be better. I think, Judge Janine would be better. Hell, I think Matt Gaetz would be better. But that's who we have right now. We have Todd Blanche, and I'm encouraged. I'll just put it that way. I'm encouraged because he and Cash are now starting to close the deals. Bringing the SPLC in on 11 indictments is serious stuff. Pam Bondi would have touched this with a 10-foot pole. This is the most significant federal prosecution ever brought against a leading civil rights organization. I mean, really, the NAACP, the ALCU, nothing like this, nothing like this. The indictment, which came through the U.S. District Court for the Middle District of Alabama, this is serious stuff. People go to prison for a long time because of this. They charged the Montgomery, Alabama-based organization with 6 counts of wire fraud, 4 counts of making false statements to a federally insured bank, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit, and this is the big one, money laundering. Money laundering, exactly what the Democrats do. This is what they do. This is their modus. So the acting U.S. attorney in Alabama, his name is Kevin P. Davidson. He's already signed the charging document. This is serious stuff. If you get a U.S. attorney that brings charges against you, it's not something that you just brush off. It's not something you take a big 2-step sidestep and think, oh, well, we'll go to court in 5 years and no one will care then because we'll have a Democrat in the White House. Blanche said that prosecutors allege the SPLC paid roughly $3 million between 2014 and 2023 to 8 people who were tied to the Ku Klux Klan, United Klans of America, the National Socialist Party of America, the Aryan Nations-linked Sadistic Souls Motorcycle Club, and, of course, America First. One recipient, described as a leader of the group that organized the 2017 Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, was paid about $270,000 over 8 years. The SPLC was not dismantling these groups. It was instead manufacturing the extremism it purported to oppose by paying the sources to stoke racial hatred. It's sort of like Jewish people painting swastikas on the outside of their synagogue, right? And then yelling about it. Look what they painted on the outside of our synagogue. And it was them. It was them. Prosecutors allege payments moved through at least 5 sham entities. Are you ready to hear these? The Center Investigative Agency, Fox Photography, Northwest Technologies, Tech Writers Group, and Rare Books Warehouse. You ever heard of Rare Books Warehouse? I have. Before being loaded onto prepaid debit cards. This is how they move the money. This is the wire fraud. Kash Patel said in a post on X, mirroring his own news conference remarks, said the SPLC lied to their donors. They paid extremist leaders whose activity in at least one case was used to facilitate the commission of state and federal offenses. He said individuals remain under investigation. The indictment names only the organization. That's what worries me. You can't really bring an organization and put the organization in jail. You have to put people in jail. You have to charge people. SPLC's interim CEO, Brian Fair, disclosed the criminal probe early yesterday after the indictment was announced. And of course, he denied any wrongdoing. I didn't know anything about it. I got news for you. The CEO knows everything that goes on in his company, and he is held liable. He said the program, which is now discontinued, we stopped doing that. We stopped doing that back, on January 6th. Yeah. Gathered intelligence on violent groups and was frequently shared with law enforcement, including the FBI. We will vigorously defend ourselves, our staff, and our work, Mr. Fair said. He tied the program to threats dating to the 1983 firebombing of the SPLC's Montgomery office, which they probably did themselves. The case sharpens a clash that escalated last October when Kash Patel severed FBI ties with the SPLC, calling it a partisan smear machine. House Republicans held a December hearing accusing the group of coordinating with the Biden administration to target conservatives, which they were doing, and you saw it every day. Prosecutors must now prove their donor deception and intent, and I promise you they have the sauce. They have the sauce. I'm worried about no names yet in the indictments, at least not that I can see. It's all SPLC. Yeah. Still waiting for the actual arrests. ITSOT 1984 says. Let's see. What is this? What did you say, Captain Super AIDS? Oh, it's a previous discussion. I have to go way up here in the chat to see what's going on. Yes. Well, Trump hasn't made his decision yet, and I have said that I believe Trump is going to fundamentally change the Department of Justice. I don't think we're going to have just one attorney general and then that's it. Everything is focused on, the Fox News contributor. I think he's going to change the DOJ. He's going to change it because it's too big for one person. One person doesn't have enough hours in the day to handle everything. They're not paid enough to do it. It's going to take 4. It's going to take 4 attorneys general. You understand what I'm saying? 1 just for the coup. Just for the coup that happened in 2020. It's a huge undertaking. The biggest names in the world, the most household names in the world, are the ones on the bubble. And you need a special prosecutor or an attorney general just for the coup. Just for the coup. The second one is, of course, fraud. Up to 70% of our national debt is fraud. It's fraud. Now, should we repay it? I don't think so. The president should write it all off. It's like charging your depositors for a bank robbery. What the hell? Right? 1 attorney general just for the fraud. It's too big. It involves the biggest states, billions and billions of dollars. It would take years to catch all these people if you just let U.S. attorneys handle it. You need an attorney general focused just on fraud. The third one has to be immigration. And it has to be the anchor babies and the birthright citizenship. It's a huge boondoggle, and it is undermining the very fabric of the United States of America. And no attorney general can follow it. No attorney general can follow it. It's 139 countries involved in this. You need 1 attorney general just to handle all that. We have Haitians in this country. We have Afghans in this country. We have Iranians in this country. We have sleeper cells in this country. You need 1 attorney general just to focus his forces or her forces on all of that. And the fourth one is crimes in prisons. That's what Pam Bondi was doing, was the crimes in prisons. She wasn't touching any of this other stuff. None of it. Now, forget about Jeffrey Epstein. It's a minor blip, Jeffrey Epstein. Right. And you got it, boy dogs too. Exactly, precisely right. George Soros money and Nicolas Maduro money has been funneling to the likes of Marjorie Taylor Greene, Rand Paul, and others. And we're not talking about $50,000 here and there. We're talking millions of dollars. And when you have that kind of money coming in, it has a little Post-it note on it. This is for this. This is for that. Oh, thank you for this, right? It comes with strings attached with that sticky Post-it note glue all over it. And the smell never goes away. It never goes away. Never goes away. And I hate it. I hate the bribery that takes place in Washington. And these people, Rand Paul, Marjorie Taylor Greene, others, they're not poor. They're not poor. They have estates. They're worth millions. Why in the world do they need to take Nicolas Maduro bribes and they need to take, bribes from George Soros? Why is that? I don't get it. I don't understand. But you can sure see what happens to them after they accept the bribes, can't you? Can't you? I know, JJ. For a while, I thought, she was a tough woman, and she was hanging in there, saying all the right things. She was down on the floor, vacating the speaker. I mean, she was doing the right things, saying the right things, and then she just went Candace Owen. That's a thing now. Just say she went Candace Owen. That explains everything. Yeah. Well, that's right, MJ Sedona says, well, now we know for certain why elected officials making less than $200,000 a year are multimillionaires all of a sudden. Well, yeah, that's how Ilhan Omar made it. That's how Rashida Tlaib made it. That's how, they all make it. They go from making $174,000 a year to making $1 million, $5 million, $10 million a year. It's insane. Insane. You really think so, Boy Dogs? Do you think Maduro is singing like a songbird and naming names? You think they would actually let him live in prison if he was divulging all that? And that's why I'm saying you need an attorney general just for the coup. Just for the coup. Because it's too big. There's too much money. There's too much death. There are murders. There are assassinations. There's bribery. There's blackmail on a scale you cannot imagine about this coup in 2020. And the names, Obama and Clinton and Rice and Rhodes, and these are the biggest name in politics in the world. And they all should go down, right? Right. Of course, Holder, right. William with Holder, absolutely. And Brennan, yes, Brennan too. And Comey, we'll see what the extent of his involvement is and whether he is going to turn state's evidence or not on Brennan. But Brennan's a cold-blooded killer. He's a killer. Look how he owned Samantha Power. She was bought her way into the Obama administration by becoming the ambassador to the UN. Unfortunately, she got involved with some Russian boys and red wine, and that's as far as I can go with that. But Brennan owned her after that, absolutely owned her. He sent her to the FISA building where the offices are to unmask Donald Trump's name 225 times. You have to go in person. And after that, she went to Nigeria and opened a nonprofit, and they funneled $2 billion to her. We've never seen the money. We have no idea where it went. It boggles the mind how much money we're talking about, and how much death, and how much deception, and how much poverty and blackmail, and it just breaks my heart to see it. It breaks my heart. And it's like you go places in the world and you hear these stories, And you say, oh, no, that can't be true. No, I can't believe that. But it's true. It's true. And the debt traps and the assassinations and the blackmail, unbelievable, the stuff that went on. Yeah, I'm with you, Washaki Win. Yes, go Trump. All right. Let's change the subject. We'll talk a little bit about UFOs. Yes. I knew David Wilcock not really well, but he always treated me nice. I never witnessed him, have one of his episodes. I have friends that did. I have friends that tried to talk him down a few times. Obviously, a lot of stress. But here's the thing. David Wilcock became the most famous person in this genre. Think of that. Think how many personalities there are. They're all strong personalities in this genre, right? I mean, I don't want to name names. I could probably name a dozen of the top names right now. David Wilcock was bigger than all of them combined. He was enormous. He had it all. He was the panel moderator. He was the MC. He was the headliner for years and years and years. Before social media, David Wilcock was right there at the top. And when social media came out, he exploded, absolutely exploded. And you could feel his energy. I've been next to the guy for hours. You could feel his energy. You cannot take that away from him. And I don't know what stress was involved. I don't know what the situation was outside of his home. I don't want to speculate. I know. Some people are saying he's in a witness protection program. Some people say they murdered him. Some people can't believe that he committed suicide. You don't know. So shut the hell up, okay? David Wilcock was a good man. Do not soil his legacy, okay? Everybody hooks up with bad people. Everybody. And you can't help that. You get sucked in because you need the next big thing. You need the, when the shine starts to dull a little bit on what you've been marketing to the people for years, you need to shine it up again. And people get involved with the wrong people, and you just can't tell. I know mind shots, and listen, divorce is a major mind F. You know what I'm saying? I met his wife, absolutely a 10, an absolute 10. And I don't know how compatible they were, but he was totally, completely in love with her. And if they got divorced, it probably destroyed him. Emotionally, it destroyed him. And who knows what was said? You don't know. Divorces can be nasty. Words can be said that do damage way beyond what you can imagine. Divorce is horrible, especially high-profile divorces like that one. I mean, you don't know. You're right, mind shots. A lot of strain, a lot of stress. Sometimes people reach the end of the road and they think, you know what, that's the end of the road. But David Wilcock had another 40 or 50 years in him. He didn't smoke. He didn't drink. He was a good guy, I think, all the way around. All right. Let's talk a little bit about UFOs now. Every single paper, every single video, and all the other evidence of the missing 11 scientists is being shredded as fast as possible. That's what's happening. You could see the fires from space, okay, going all the way back to 2022. Everything about these people. Amy allegedly shot herself in 2022. It's now 2026, people, and we're just now putting those pieces together. Trust me, everything she did, everything she said is now on the fringe. The FBI reportedly is leading the investigation into the deaths or disappearances of scientists or staffers who worked at sensitive nuclear or space technology laboratories. I mean, one of them was Los Alamos. Two of them were at Los Alamos. It has a reputation for this stuff. for losing laptops, for leaking, classified information. There are no coincidences at Los Alamos, okay? But now the FBI's on it. That means they're going to start flying in and asking questions, and they're going to be writing down those interviews. And if you lie, or you say, well, I thought I remembered it this way, but it was actually this way, you're going to be arrested. You know what that does to everybody? Everybody. The receptionist, the driver, the office mate. You know what it does to them? It makes them suck up into little shriveled versions of themselves. They don't want to say anything. They don't want to do anything. They're deleting all their social media. They're deleting all their messages. They're going back through their checkbook and saying, oh my God, I wrote a check for this. Let me tell you, everybody is nervous. And I'm saying you can see the fires from space, all the evidence that's being burned right now. And it's not as though the FBI doesn't have a reputation for destroying evidence or fabricating evidence or intimidating witnesses, right? Of course, federal authorities have stepped in to determine whether any connections exist between at least 10 cases involving individuals tied to high-level research. It messes everything up. A statement like this messes everything up. The FBI confirmed it is spearheading the effort in coordination with the Department of Energy, Department of War, and the state and local law enforcement agencies. And you heard just a few days ago that I'm looking for a word now, just let me find it. The curation of all of this UFO evidence has now been turned over to the Pentagon. And that place hides everything. There is no open book in the Pentagon. The deeper you go into the Pentagon, the more stars you see and the less you know to be true. I'm just telling you my personal experience. President Donald Trump has also weighed in, calling the situation pretty serious stuff and indicating the administration is monitoring developments. Well, listen, I've been in meetings in the Pentagon where the undersecretary just came from a meeting with the president, like just came or just got off the phone, a phone conference or something with the president. He's in that meeting. He's leading that meeting. I'm presenting, and they got 25 generals and purchasing agents and everything in that room. And you just don't know what it feels like to have the door closed on you. Not even politely. It's like you just have no idea how much power is there. Among the most high-profile cases is the disappearance of retired General Major General William Neal McCaslin. Now, this one is, and this is New Mexico. This one's a little strange. I don't have a lot of information on it, but I understand that he made a statement to one of his family members that he was having kind of a brain fog. That's not significant except that they said it. They just said it. But he left the house. And he didn't take his keys. He didn't take his phone. He didn't take his tracking device, which, by the way, all people in leadership position in the government have a tracking device. It's either in your wallet, it's in your personal go bag, or it's in your neck. Yeah, they actually inject a chip in you so they can find you, so you can't be kidnapped, so they can rescue you quickly enough. So he left without all this stuff. And he led the Air Force's research laboratory, and he just vanished from his house without a trace. Nothing. And this was pretty recent. Other cases include NASA-affiliated aerospace engineer who disappeared while hiking in California. That was strange enough. Out with friends. Out hiking, fell a little bit behind. Hold on, guys. I'm going to take a breather. I'll catch up with you in just a minute. Okay, bye. They go around the corner, and she never arrived. They went back down the trail. Where did she go? She's nowhere. There's no cliffs, no bears or anything like that. She just disappeared. Not a trace, and never came back. Never showed up again. And of course, you all are on it, right? all the social media pressure out there. Hey, where are these people? How does all this happen? Yeah, there you go, Captain Super Age. You chip pets for the same reason, right? Well, government does the same thing with their VIPs. They do. So are they going to find a link or not? You think they're going to find some association? I mean, people do just die, but it is strange that all these people in a 4-year period of time would disappear like this. Concerns about potential foreign involvement persist. Were they kidnapped? Are they, taken by Chinese or other spies, Russian spies? Some Republican lawmakers have suggested adversaries such as China, Russia, or Iran could see value in targeting U.S. scientific expertise. They have done it in the past, but they don't really care about the people. They care about that laptop. And that's what happened at Los Alamos several times. People had their laptops stolen, or they just leave them on their desk, and a cleaning lady comes through and boom, that laptop is gone. And next thing you know, it's in Moscow. Of course, the House Oversight Committee is involved in this as well. They've launched their own probe. That's not going to go anywhere. You've watched them, right? You've watched the House Oversight Committee sit there and question people at the table. And you've seen what the people say. Oh, well, I suppose it could be, or I can't tell you that that's classified. Do you ever get any satisfaction from the House Oversight Committee asking questions? Hell no. Not ever. Not even once. Not even close. So I'm just saying, don't get your hopes up. Yeah. No, I don't want to talk about it anymore. We've said all we're going to say about David. That's my final word. I don't ever say anything derogatory about anyone unless they ask for it, and he would never ask for it. Yes, I'm friends with Jordan Sather too. We've known each other for years. We've been on several in fact, we've been kicked off the best panels. Jordan and I have been kicked off panels at the same time and never been allowed back. They just don't want the truth. They don't want the truth. I'm sorry, I can't help them there. They want a secret space program. They want galactic federations, and I'm not your guy for that. So, yeah, Jordan will tell you. Yeah, me and Brooks, we got kicked off a panel at Contact in the Desert. That was a real experience. All right. There's one particular challenge facing the crewed missions of the near future in space that really scares mission planners more than any other thing. Can you imagine what that is? No, it's not loss of pressure. They have all kinds of safeguards for that. Fire. That's right, fire. Because a fire in space, we don't really understand yet. We've never actually tested it. I mean, you know what fire does here on the Earth, right? You light something and the heat rises and it pulls the fuel and the oxygen together and it keeps burning and it can spread pretty quickly. But in a weightless environment, what does an open flame do? Don't know. We'll cover more when we get back right after the break. Please don't go away.
Listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. And we'll be right back after this message.
Tune in to the Family Industrial Complex podcast here on Revolution Radio, Studio B, every Wednesday, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Get fit, empowered, physically, mentally, and spiritually.
The rooster has crowed out the opening bars of a new day. You've dragged yourself out of bed. You turn on your device. You want to know what's going on in the world. But you're hungry for a topical show that serves up those breakfast headlines just that little bit differently. Do you like your early morning news the way you like your eggs over easy? Served with slathers of salsa-like sass? Do you like those first headlines of the day to deliver a punch as powerful as that first cup of joe? Join Mitchell Bupp at his breakfast table for Revolution in the Morning, where he will digest, dissect, and dismantle those new day's national and global news headlines with razor-sharp relish. Find Mitchell here at revolution.radio every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern on Studio B.
Through everything, we have to remember that we have more in common than not in common. And to find this common ground, tune in to Conversations with Eagle Flower, Wednesdays, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Studio A. Because we come to this table of life to learn in the best possible way and experience this gift of life from our mutual Creator. So let's learn together and build our best future with Conversations with Eagle Flower, Wednesdays, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Studio A on Revolution Radio.
I will defend myself against their tyranny. Number 3 is my radio broadcast. I'm squarely in front of the public all the time, and they all know what's going on.
For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence.
Hello, my name is John Wayne, and I do a broadcast here at freedomslips.com, revolution.radio, called The Unequivocal Truth, DEFCON 1.
Freedom and fear are at war.
And folks, I assure you, we are in Defense Condition 1, as we journey perilously through this paradigm that we currently reside in. And I ask that you join me every Saturday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for The Unequivocal Truth, DEFCON 1.
We'll never surrender.
Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. Any commercial advertising you may hear in this program is of the sole discretion and benefit of the host of whose program you are listening to. Revolution Radio does not endorse any commercial products, nor does it accept monetary compensation for on-air advertising of commercial products, nor will it ever. We are and shall remain 100% listener supported. Any product advertising on this program are considered used at higher risk, and Revolution Radio shall not be held liable for any claims or damages received from any product advertised within this program. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Thanks for hanging in there while we took that short break. Now back to America Free Radio with host Brooks Agnew here at Revolution Radio.
Okay, marvelous. Great station identification. I appreciate that very much, Revolution Radio. We would be nowhere without our great Revolution Radio listeners. They're all over the world. They listen through TalkStream Live and iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Orange Radio, all kinds of online radio apps. And we'd be nowhere without them. 4 million strong, and we appreciate every single listener out there. We also are on video. So if you're listening by audio, pay close attention because we're going to go to my website, brooksagnew.com. For those of you watching my video, it's very easy. We're just going to click this button right here on the page. And we're going to go to a special page inside my website called Health and Aging, or Health and Safety. And inside here is where you're going to find what everybody's been looking for. And if you're looking for it, this is where it is at wholesale prices. We're not making a profit. We're trying to save lives here. That's what this is all about. You can get Ivan, as you see the picture here on the screen. You can get Fenben, which is right here on the screen. We only make available the full strength version of this. The Meben, which a lot of people call Meben, but it's Mebendazole. And remember, this is used to eliminate tumors. And it is antiparasitic, and it's been used for over 40 years safely. And don't forget about HCQ. It's been used to treat malaria, lupus, all kinds of inflammatory disease, especially when it deals with the lungs. You start getting something that marches down in your lungs with too muddy boots. You don't want to get pneumonia and die. You can take the HCQ and knock it right out of the park, okay? All these are less than $1 a tablet. That includes shipping. You can't find it cheaper anywhere on the planet. And right now, the HCQ and the Fenben, we can ship immediately. So if you order it tonight, we ship it tomorrow. Ivan's running a little late because of the Democrat shutdown. U.S. Customs is running very slow. Product that we bought in January is just now trickling out of U.S. Customs. It's just very slow. But Ivan will come. It all comes. We have 100% delivery performance. It all works. If you have any questions how to use any of these, get the book. Fenbendazole and Ivermectin Protocols, a Practical Handbook. It's for sale on Amazon. I just provide the link right here, and you can read up and figure out what to do for yourself. I use True Niagen every single day. This is a product that enhances my NAD. As you know, NAD is the fountain of youth. For those of you out there reading anything on social media, anything out there is going to tell you NAD is the secret to youth forever. You can sit in a chair and get a $10,000 intravenous NAD. Great. If you got the money, have at it. Most of us don't. So you can't eat NAD, even the lipid stuff. Don't buy into that stuff, okay? True Niagen helps your body make it yourself. So you stopped making it in any kind of quantities when you were 45 years old. You're significantly older than that now. You need the energy. You need the mitochondria in your system. You need the telomeres on your chromosomes to stay nice and long. This is the stuff. It's synthesized from milk. It's the #1 supplement. I've been taking it for 8 years. I have not aged in 8 years. I still do the things I was doing 8 years ago, and I'm going to keep taking it for the rest of my life. Zima is a great source for zinc. You can take regular zinc tablets, have at it, but this is zinc, magnesium, and vitamin B, and it really does the job. All the athletes rave about it. It's what I use. Don't forget about your insulin. If you're like me and you have insulin resistance, I got plenty of insulin in my system, right in the middle of the spec. But my A1C numbers are up because I have insulin resistance. So I take Insulis, and it lowers my A1C numbers by about 30%. Just saying, I have a lot of customers that buy this stuff, and they swear by it. Get down to the A1C numbers 5, 6, 7. Don't look at those 10s, 11s, 12s anymore, pre-diabetic you. you can do it. All you need is a few drops under the tongue a couple times a day, and you'll be there. And get rid of the fluoride in your toothpaste. I don't think you can buy fluoride-free toothpaste in the market. If you do, it's crap. They're very expensive. This is Himalaya toothpaste. I've been using it for a long time. No fluoride, no abrasives, and it keeps your teeth white. And it's just as expensive as the Aquafresh or Crest or Colgate that you've been using. And methylene blue, it's kind of worn off a little bit. People aren't really squirting that blue stuff in their mouth anymore. They're taking what's called Blue Boost, which is a vegetarian encapsulated methylene blue. Yes, it still turns your pee green, but it gives you that energy, that laser focus that you're looking for without all the mess. All right, let's get back to it because we have stuff that we have to talk about. We were talking about fire in space. And who was it that brought it up? Hang on a second. Somebody said it in the chat room. Come on, scroll. I can't get the chat room to scroll. Anyway, they said that the fire in space in zero gravity burns as a sphere. And MJ Sedona said, Melinda, Leslie, and I went to Colorado to be interviewed by Gaia last week. Had a great time. You know, I do too. Every time I go out there and I'm on Beyond Belief with George Norrie, and I'm out there with, Tommy Danheiser and their makeup artists. They're just sweetest people you could ever meet. They pick you up at the airport. They treat you decent, put you up at a decent hotel. Just the nicest people on earth. All right. And Gaia is straight up, and I have no issues with Gaia whatsoever. I've always enjoyed my time with them. Always. All right. Let's see. Okay. Now we're back in real time. Okay. So a new paper from researchers at Glenn Research Center with NASA and Johnson Space Center. They plan a mission to test the flammability of materials on the moon's surface. We already know what it does in zero gravity, but we don't know what it does on the moon. They do expect the flame to act differently than it does on Earth. On Earth, gravity causes hot gases to rise, drawing fresh, cool oxygen to the base of the flame. In some cases where the material is marginally flammable, this can result in a phenomenon called blow-off, which actually extinguishes the fire. On the moon, that flow still exists, but it is a lot slower. It's a lot slower. It allows oxygen to be continually resupplied to the flame without creating fast enough vapor movement to allow for a blow-off condition. In other words, materials that might not truly be flammable on Earth might burn a very long time on the moon. Future lunar explorers do not want to have a raging fire in their habitat for obvious reasons, but we want to know how it behaves, so we want to know how to fight it, how to put it out safely without killing everybody in the habitat. Can't just shoot off halon in an enclosed environment. The NASA has a standard called STD 6001B, and this is a test method, and it requires holding a 6-inch flame to the bottom of a vertically mounted piece of material. If the material burns more than 6 inches up from the bottom or drips burning debris, it fails the test. It sounds reasonable, but there's a catch. All these tests are done on Earth. So fires don't point up in microgravity. They form spherical blobs of flame that spread slowly outward, and they're almost entirely fed by the station's ventilation systems. But simply turning off the ventilation system wouldn't solve the problem. Sure, the lack of air movement might slow a fire down, but it would simply cause some material to smolder, waiting for the fans to turn back on so it can reignite. The best solution would be to test the physics of flames on the International Space Station itself. And NASA would rather avoid the fires that are big enough to do damage to materials, but they still have to test it. This is in zero gravity, and we want to see this tested on the moon as well. Sample fabric burns inside uncrewed Cygnus cargo spacecraft for the Sapphire 4 experiment, and during these tests, researchers ignited large sheets of cotton fiberglass fabric and acrylic to watch how they burn in microgravity. They found some very weird physics, with flames sometimes spreading in the opposite direction of the airflow and burning hotter on thinner materials. So they turned to the next option, which is called drop testing. However, watching how flames react when released from a drop tower, 5 seconds of weightlessness, or even on a parabolic plane flight, 25 seconds of weightlessness. If you've ever been, we call it the vomit comet. If you've never been on it, I'll describe what it's like. The plane climbs to a fairly high altitude, about 30,000 feet. And then it goes into a shallow dive. And as soon as it wings over, as soon as it noses down, it doesn't wing over, as soon as the nose is down, everything in the main cabin goes weightless. So it's mostly padded because they don't want you breaking anything while you're bouncing around on the inside there. And you know, people get used to it. It's 25 seconds at a time. And I'll be honest, it's not the weightless part that gets you. Yeah, you go weightless and you kind of feel like you lost your stomach for a second, but you can flip over, you can fly across the room really slowly. You can push yourself around off the walls and the floor and the ceiling. That's okay. You get used to that pretty quickly. You realize that just a finger's worth of pressure will move you around the room. You don't have to really jump hard. You can just move slowly and gracefully. It's when the shallow dive is over and the plane levels out. It goes to about 4 Gs. As the plane levels out, you're stopping the dive and you're now leveling out and getting ready to climb again. And that's what squeezes your guts. That's what makes you want to throw up is the squeeze on your guts. Just if you ever get a chance to do it, don't eat or drink anything before you go. You'll probably do better. But they do some tests during that 25 seconds. That's why they call it a drop tower. Flammability of materials on the moon. The lower gravity on the moon is actually an even more interesting place to study flame dynamics. FM2 will contribute to that study by launching on a commercial lunar payload service mission to the moon's surface. Now, this is a kind of a giant leap again for mankind because we've built this stuff, but we don't have. We could lift it. We could lift it into high orbit. We could maybe get it to the moon. Landing it on the moon is another thing. Because we have things that are missing in this whole process. We don't have any GPS satellites. Okay, we have 2, but we need more GPS satellites in orbit around the moon so that we can remotely control craft in cislunar space. Right now, believe it or not, we have to use GPS satellites that are orbiting Earth. Now, I know they're like 250,000 miles away, but you know, you can still use them at that distance to get some kind of location information. But wouldn't it be better? Wouldn't it be better if you had, you know, GPS satellites at 500 miles above moon? And that way you could actually overcome all the Lorentzian errors and you could actually locate something on the moon. I think it would be better. And for that, we've already built the carrier. We already have the carrier that we could load all the GPS satellites into, probably do it in 1 or 2 trips. Launch the carrier to the orbit in the moon, deploy the satellites and set up the grid, put the 2 or 3 or 4 units down on the ground to link it to the planet. So you have that link to the Lorentzian, and it should be easier on the moon because the moon's rotating very slowly. It's not like Earth where the ground is moving 1,000 miles an hour under you. It's not like that where you're moving in space. You have a moving sphere underneath you and a moving object on that sphere. And their Lorentzian errors are astronomical. It really takes 12 satellites to work all those errors out or to not work them out, but to minimize them. So you can say, you have arrived at your location, turn right at the next light. And how many people out there experience that lag, right? Where it says, turn right at the next light, and it just went by you. Like you're doing 45 miles an hour. How am I supposed to turn right at the next light? Those are Lorentzian errors. Everybody's experienced it with GPS. Sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's like real time on your phone or on your navigation device on your vehicle, but not always. Not always, right? Well, imagine not having that at all. That's what we actually had. We had maps, but imagine having a joystick in your hand. You're playing a video game and you bank with the joystick, and it takes 2 minutes for your ship on the screen to actually bank. That's what it's like landing stuff on the moon. Anyway, we have to get these commercial payloads onto the moon in order to conduct these experiments. We learn from the experiments, and then we know how to build habitats. You can't just go up there and have a pressurized balloon or a big cushioned room like Bigelow makes. You can't just put it up on the moon and say, go for it. It doesn't work that way. There's too many risks. You saw the movie The Martian, right? Remember the movie The Martian? You remember everything was going great, right? He was growing the potatoes. He was communicating with Earth. Everything was going great. You remember that? And then you remember the explosion? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. You just don't know the static electricity, differential pressure, all kinds of things, hydrogen buildup. All these things have to be tested. All these things have to be tested. Because we don't want to leave anybody on the moon if they want to get off, or if it's time for them to get off. And whether or not NASA will update its standard, it remains to be seen. Launching a self-contained capsule for flame testing to the moon seems like it would be cost prohibitive, but it's also essential. There's no replacing real data from real environment, and FM2 will, for the first time, provide some data on flame behavior from our next major outpost in the solar system. No, it isn't Mars, it's the moon, and it will be the moon for the next 20 or 25 years. Forget about a manned mission to Mars. It's not going to happen in your lifetime. I can just tell you that too many unknowns, unless somebody's absolutely insane. It's a one-way trip. They're never coming back. Never coming back. All right, let's talk about Iran's negotiation of their terms of surrender. Well, that's what I'm calling it. They're not negotiating a ceasefire. They're not negotiating peace. No, the truth is Iran, or whoever's over there speaking on behalf of Iran, they are negotiating their terms of surrender. That's what it boils down to. And you know what the terms are, right? Basically 3 things. Stop firing missiles at your neighbors, and that hasn't happened yet. Give up all the uranium that you've enriched. There's about 1,000 pounds of it. We don't need 750. We need all of it. And I think they're under a lot of pressure because I honestly don't think that they have in their minds that they're going to hold on to this uranium no matter what because they want to build a bomb. I just don't think that's in their minds because they haven't been in charge of this for a long time, maybe 50 years. It's been Britain. Yeah, I know, our ally. Britain hasn't been in charge of the nuclear program in Iran for 50 years. So it isn't so much that, well, damn, now we're not going to get a nuclear weapon in Iran. It isn't that. What it is where did the uranium come from? Where did the uranium come from that they enriched, that they've been bombarding with neutrons all this time with their centrifuges? We know every single sample of uranium has a nuclide spectrum. That is to say, it has a fingerprint, and it's unique to the reactor that it came from. It's unique, just like in the movie Sum of All Fears. I think the Iranians are instructed, you hold on to that uranium no matter what. Because as soon as it's discovered that we supplied you the uranium, we're screwed. And if that uranium came from the Rosatom Uranium-1 transaction between Hillary Clinton and the Russians through Westinghouse, somebody's going to be put before a firing squad. This is serious stuff. It put the world at risk. The world's still at risk because there's 1,000 pounds of it in their hands. 1,000 pounds of it. And they've been instructed, whatever it takes, no matter who you have to put in front of it, don't give this stuff up, because if you do, we're screwed, because it's going to point right at us. That's why they're holding on to it. That's why they're trying to negotiate the terms of their surrender. That's what Iran's fetish is with uranium. Okay? If Iran were like a giant, Belgium with no oil reserves, you could understand it. Okay? Yeah, okay, maybe they want to build a nuclear reactor and they want to generate their own electricity. But that's insane. I mean, Iran has all the oil and all the natural gas it needs for 1,000 years, longer than that. It has no need for it. It swims in 208 billion barrels of the sweetest crude oil on the planet. And they don't need a nuclear power plant. Saudi Arabia has 258 billions. Not as good as Iranian oil, but good. And Venezuela has 303.8 billion. That's big, but it's all thick black stuff, and not very many people have refineries that can take it. We do. Iran needs a new energy source like LA needs a new freeway, or Venice needs a new canal. They just don't need it. And as for natural gas, Iran has 34.8 trillion cubic meters of proven reserves, totally pollution-free. Run it into the gas turbines and make your electricity. Desalinate your water, do everything you want to. Iran needs a new energy source, like I said, Venice needs a new canal. But Iran's passion for uranium has really blown people's minds. They just don't want to give it up. And I believe it's because it will point to the people who gave it to them. So do the Ayatollahs chase atoms because they're closet climate warriors? I doubt it. Does every mullah have an inner Al Gore whispering inconvenient truths about oil and gas and blah, blah, blah? No. There is no evidence of anything like that. Nor is there a cadre of eco-activists clogging Tehran's streets and clamoring to end the climate crisis. Zero. Nothing. The only thing they want is they want their women to wear hijabs and shut the hell up. The uranium-235 supply, nuclear expert Robert Goldston warns, 99% of the work needed to enrich the full stockpile to 90% has already been performed. And why have the Ayatollahs enriched uranium so intensely? Uranium-235 at 3.5% enrichment is perfect for atomic energy. Why do they need it at 60%? Because they want to make a bomb. So why? Why would they be so monomaniacal about refining uranium beyond what's required to generate atomic energy? Well, Iran officials gave the answer to this vital question to Trump's envoys a few days ago. Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner conferred with their Iranian counterparts in Oman, and they sought a peaceful off-ramp before the launch of Operation Epic Fury. This is about 60 days ago. Jared and I opened up with the Iranian negotiations, telling us that they had inalienable right to enrich all their nuclear fuel that they possess. And Kushner's jaw was on the floor, like, what are you talking about? Both the Iranian negotiators said to us directly with, no shame, that they controlled about 1,000 pounds of 60%. And they were aware that they could make 11 nuclear bombs. And they got friends. They got Russians, they got North Koreans, they got Pakistanis. They're all nuclear capable. And that was the beginning of their negotiating stance. And they're still holding on to that because these are the terms of their surrender. Of course, we want unconditional surrender, and that means we want the uranium, all of it. You can't have any of it. On March 16th, Robert Goldston wrote ominously for the Center for Arms Control and Nonproliferation, and I quote, "While press coverage was as indicated that it is a short technical step from 60% to 90%, perhaps it is not evident to the public that 99% of the work needed to enrich the stockpile to 90% has already been done. If Iran's centrifuges spun just another 1%, they would yield bomb-quality uranium." Well, of course, the Iranians said, wait a minute now, that's not true. We're not seeking nuclear weapons. That's what Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian reassured diplomats in Tehran in February of last year. Foreign Ministry spokesman Nasser Kanani commented in April of 2024, Iran has repeatedly said its nuclear program only serves peaceful purposes. Whatever. U.S. atomic scientist Matthew Bunn, he's a PhD, dismisses these statements. The Harvard professor and former White House science advisor told the News that Iran has been lying about its nuclear weapons efforts for over 20 years. Bunn's skepticism is well-founded. Left to their own devices, the Ayatollahs would hone their uranium-235 into atomic bombs, and they would use them to blow up Israel. Death to America is not just a slogan, it is as central an organizing principle to Iran as life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is to us. For 47 years, Iran has menaced, wounded, kidnapped, and killed Americans, Israelis, Jews, elsewhere, fellow Muslims, and innumerable others, and that also should include about 36,000 civilians that were protesting in the streets. And not only did they shoot them in the streets, but the ones that didn't die and went to the hospital, they went into the hospitals and shot them in their beds. Shot them in their beds in the hospital. More Americans have been killed by Iran than any other terrorist regime on earth. There's 42 violent incidents. I'm not going to read them all. It is clear that Iran posed an immediate threat to the United States, combining explicit hostile intent, expanding strike capabilities, and concrete preparations documented by U.S. and allied intelligence. The president and founder of Shurat Ha-Din Israel Law Center said this: in the days leading up to this conflict, Tehran feared that the U.S. and Israel had uncovered its new accelerated uranium enrichment and deployment of advanced centrifuges, steps that sharply reduce breakout time for a bomb. Iran began preparing for a potential preemptive strike on Israel, U.S. bases, and its regional allies. America simply could not let Iran conceal its uranium, nor allow a dangerous surprise attack on its bases or allies. So President Trump took the first shot. And he has wiped out their Navy, he's wiped out their Air Force. They have a couple of speedboats out there, and with that, they have taken possession of a couple of tankers and moved them into Iran waters. Faced with Iran's blood-soaked history, the terminal psychosis of its leadership, and his top diplomat's premonition of 11 atomic bombs, Trump faced a choice: neutralize this deep-rooted, determined, and deadly threat now, or handle it the way Dr. Walls, Jeffries, and Chuck Schumer would treat a patient's early colon cancer diagnosis. Just relax. There's no imminent threat. Come back in 5 years. When their patient faced metastatic stage 4 disease in 2031, these quacks would say, no sweat, you could buy chemotherapy drugs en route to hospice. Thankfully, President Trump did not wait to act until an atomic-tipped Iranian missile began plunging into the National Mall. Trump spoke of the Ayatollahs a few days ago, saying they've gotten away with murder for years. They're not going to get away with it anymore. Well, you can say what you want about the war. It's not very old. It's about, 55 days, something like that. I think it's probably going to be, it's already over. What we're doing now is negotiating the terms of surrender. We already see the makings of a coup in Iran. That is to say, the people are putting their own leaders up and they're moving in to take over where the IRGC is now vacating the space. All right, let's talk a little bit about the number one cause of death in the world. I hate to bring it up, but I got to bring it up because there's been news in this space. The number one cause of death in the world by far, not even close, it surpasses cancer, heart disease, all those major diseases combined. It's abortion. The data is in, and the conclusion is heartbreaking. Planned Parenthood killed 434,450 babies in 2024. 45 million babies were killed that same year. 45 million worldwide. And that totals up to an impressive kill-to-patient ratio, 434,450 and 2.09 million patients treated. Now, this, of course, shows that abortions are all Planned Parenthood cares about. It is their major source of revenue. The additional services they render, like STD testing, pap smears, they're just window dressing for their systematic murder machine. This year's numbers showed that reality more than ever. Even as abortions increased year over year by 8%, cancer screenings fell by 8.6%. Pap smears decreased by 2.5%, and preventive care visits fell by 3.2%. Some of the other numbers Planned Parenthood gave show how little they accomplish that is actually benefiting anybody. They only provided miscarriage care 2,852 times in the whole year. And they only provided prenatal services 7,685 times. Of course, it's no wonder mothers don't want their babies to receive prenatal care at a place that exists to execute them. The data does not yet show the impact of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act's defunding of Planned Parenthood via its restriction of federal Medicaid payments to abortion providers. Next year, we'll see how effective that tactic was in stymieing the number of abortions. But the Democrats have government shut down right now. And one of their terms to open government back up again is to continue paying for abortions. I swear to God. There are some signs that the defunding has had an impact, as 50 Planned Parenthood clinics have closed since that law was passed. And Planned Parenthood said in its latest report that an additional 200 health centers, read killing centers, are at a risk of closure due to the law. President Trump's new budget proposal seeks to leave that defunding mechanism in place, offering hope that more Planned Parenthood clinics will indeed close. However, given the increasing degree to which abortion pills are purchased online, including from overseas pharmacies and domestic criminal abortion providers, it remains less clear that closing Planned Parenthood clinics will actually cause a substantial decrease in the number of abortions. Birth control pills on a good day are only 95% effective. If you're buying cheap birth control pills from India, you might, because the dosage is not made for your particular female balance, you might end up only having 85% effective, which means 15% of the time you're going to get pregnant, and that means a lot of abortions. A lot. I think it would be much wiser if women and men didn't have sex unless they want to have a child. The sad conclusion from this new Planned Parenthood report is that conservatives yearn for reversal of Roe v. Wade. It has not brought about even a small decrease in the number of children that are being slaughtered in abortions. In fact, abortions have increased markedly, despite the fact that 20 states now have laws that limit abortions before viability in some way. 13 states have a total ban on abortions, while 5 additional states ban abortions after 6 weeks of gestation. But they're still killing in record numbers. And this is because women are going to travel out of state. They're going to travel out of state to obtain abortions. Planned Parenthood reported spending $3.7 million to help women with these travel expenses, as well as the fact that abortions can easily be obtained online. But they are surely making the picture much worse than this 8% year-over-year increase presents. Planned Parenthood performed about 39% of abortions in the U.S., but again, it's hard to know the true number because of the high number of illegal abortions. Other data has borne out Planned Parenthood's claim that abortions are increasing post-Dobbs. The Guttmacher Institute, said last month that an estimated 1,126,000 abortions were performed by U.S. clinicians just in 2025, which it said was largely unchanged from 2024. This represented a 21% increase in abortions since 2020, the previous year for the organization had data. Unfortunately, this number failed to capture the many abortions that take place via foreign online pharmacies and criminal domestic providers. Defunding Planned Parenthood is not going to stop abortions in the U.S., and it is likely to have only a marginal impact on decreasing them. But the main thing is you're not using my money to do them. You're not asking me to pay for them. I don't want my money used to kill babies, and you should be the same way. You want to get your money somewhere else? You want the blood on your hands? Get it another way. Don't take it from me. So that $500 million a year that's sent to Planned Parenthood every year from the federal government is going to stop. Because out of that $500 million that's sent to Planned Parenthood to kill babies, $50 million of it goes back to the DNC. $50 million a year gets laundered back to the DNC. $0 to Republicans. None. Yeah, exactly, MJ. Exactly. Abortion is to healthcare what decapitation is to mental health. Heartbreaking but powerful words that expose a devastating truth. Andrew Gibbs says, I didn't even hear the word abortion until my 20s. Even today, I can't understand considering the concept. I have 4 kids, and after my 4th child, I had a vasectomy. No problem. No problem. That's what needs to be done. I know you avoid a lot of this. All right, Earth Explorers, let me just look through the chat room again and see if there's anything I missed here. Yep. I get it. All the videos of fetuses in the womb, these are real people. I have a friend, all during a pregnancy, she put headphones on her belly and played soft music to her baby in the womb. Just, hey, the baby can hear. It can hear everything that's going on outside, but it's muffled. She took care of that. She put headphones on her belly and played classical music and beautiful stuff, not rock and roll, but I know you all have arguments over the war, but this war is not about Iran. No, and it isn't even really about China. It's about Britain. All right? It's about Britain. We are fighting the global syndicate, which has centered out of Britain for thousands of years. Thousands of years, not hundreds, thousands of years. And Britain has not been our ally. Britain has been our opponent in a lot of ways. If you look at what NATO has done, NATO has conquered 63 sovereign countries. They've assassinated presidents. They've set up debt traps and confiscated countries and bribed officials all over the world so they can get what they want for their people. And unfortunately, kind of caught in the middle of all this is China. China, for some reason, gets a lot of their energy from Iran. They get a lot of their energy from Venezuela. The fact that the United States now controls the Strait of Hormuz and Venezuela, if the Chinese send drones to Iran or send drones to Russia, we cut off their oil. You see what kind of power that gives us, and it puts us kind of in harm's way too. We have to be very careful with those kind of geopolitical powers, because that's how World War II happened. That's why Japan attacked Hawaii. We cut them off. We were killing them, and so they lashed out. The eye opener is that Roosevelt knew all about it. And that's why he moved all the newer ships, the aircraft carriers, he moved all the newer ships away from Hawaii to California, weeks before it happened. So when the attack on Pearl Harbor happened, it was battleships and cruisers and older World War I ships that were parked in the harbor. So all the old stuff, and unfortunately a few thousand sailors, was placed at the bottom of the sea, bottom of the bay, bottom of the harbor. And Roosevelt got a blank check to build new ones. You see what I'm saying? Had he moved all the ships out of Hawaii, knowing that this attack was going to come, when the planes showed up, there was nothing there but a few dinghies, he wouldn't have accomplished what he wanted to accomplish. He would not have drawn America into World War II in 1941. But he did. He set it up. Now you have to think about that. Who the hell was Roosevelt in the room with when they thought that up? And were they really, really willing to sacrifice those American lives in order to get in that war? It's a big eye-opener. It is. And when you think of where the war was prior to that, it was all Britain. Britain was the one fighting Germany, right? Britain, we were helping Britain, but we weren't really in the war until 1941. Yeah. I know a lot about World War II history that I probably have a lot of meaningless trivia. So I agree with Boy Dogs too. I think that history will record that had we not taken the preemptive action against Iran, the war would have been much bigger, much more devastating, and we would have been on defense. We would have been on defense just like we were at Pearl Harbor. We would have lost senseless numbers of lives, and areas of our country that might not even be inhabitable anymore, or at least foreign bases. For a long time, 10, 20, 100 years maybe. And we had the opportunity, we had the information, we had the intel to preempt it and stop it. And President Trump did it. So now we're negotiating the terms of surrender, and I think the terms of surrender should be you return the 1,000 pounds of uranium to us. We'll take it, we'll destroy it or use it or whatever, but we got to account for it all. No more IRGC, no more mullahs. The people are free. Go back to a parliament, and women are free to be educated. They're free to walk the streets with no hijab or burqa on. Women can speak freely and hold political office. And the Ayatollahs, Islam, let's just be straight up with it. Islam will be put back in its place in Iran. Not in leadership, but in the minority that it is in that country. Or expelled altogether. I don't really care. I don't think Islam is compatible with the West. I don't think Islam is compatible with world peace. That's just my personal opinion. You're not going to change my mind no matter what you say. We already have too much Islam in this country. Belgium is now rebelling. Ireland's now rebelling. France has been in a state of rebelling for a long time. Germany is rebelling. Look at Hungary. Hungary had Viktor Orban for a long time, said, no, we're not going to let Islam in the country. And they didn't. But there were holes. There were holes in the fence. And, you know, Viktor Orban was accused of corruption. He's old. And who knows what deals he had to make to stay in office. But this new guy, I can't remember his name right off. Somebody will say it in the chat room. The new guy that was elected is even more conservative than Viktor Orban. He is going to seal up the holes in the fence and begin deporting any Muslims that are in the country. They're going to do just what Poland did. Poland didn't allow any refugees in their country at all. And Poland is one of the most peaceful countries in all of Europe. And they're proud of it. They're proud of it. And you're not going to overcome it. The people will not let you. Now Meloni is going that way, and I don't think Macron is going to do it, but somebody should take Macron's place or succeed him, and France will go that way. Germany will go that way. Belgium is now in full revolt over it, and they want Islam removed from their country. So you see where this is going. And you also see that the British have been behind this for a long, long time, at least 50 years that we know of. And, you know, it's time. Yeah, Boy Dog, so Islam is still in the Stone Age. Yep, I agree with you. And we can't say, well, you know, the old ways were best. You know, now today it's corrupt. You can't say that. You can't put a woman in a burlap bag and tell her she cannot speak and marry her off at 9 or 10 years of age. You can't do that. Islam abuses women, abuses children, abuses animals, and it just has no place. It doesn't have any place in my heart. Yeah, JJ, crusade time again. Yeah, I guess that's basically what the Crusades were doing. They were liberating people from Islam. Yeah. That's true, Boy Dogs. They want the prime minister to resign. One of their PMs called them out, female, called him out in Parliament, and they booted her, kicked her out, asked her to leave. She had one opportunity to leave, and she refused to leave, so they forcibly removed her. I don't know, Captain Super AIDS, allied with the bad guys. I don't think so. I mean, that's just not what I feel. Not what I feel. Anybody that chants death to America, they're not the good guys. They're not the good guys. And I don't think British are the good guys either. Yeah, that's what she did. And she stood her ground, called the prime minister a liar, and he booted her out. First time I've ever seen him actually get forceful. We are here every Wednesday, every Sunday at 8 p.m., and I try to interact with the chat rooms as much as I can. There's another show in Foxhole that's just sucking all the oxygen out of the room. But thank you, Pool Dude and Space Cookie and Rasta and Brew 52. Thank you for being there.
Is meeting the taxpayers where they are, and
I don't know what that happened. Thank you, Coffee Lady. Oh, hang on a second here. Did I move away from my own program? How did that happen? Well, I was like 4th or 5th place here, but now I can't find my program. So maybe it's already off on Foxhole. But thank you guys for coming in, being part of the program tonight. I really, really, really appreciate you. Thanks to the Revolution Radio crew and all the listeners out there. We will have some outro music here in just a second. But also remember this, that we're leaving spring and entering summer. It's going to be a hell of a productive year. Of course, next month is my birthday month, so I'm going to do something for myself every single day of the month. I celebrate my time here on this planet. I love food. I love the people. I don't eat too much of it. I try to control that, but I'm going to be riding my motorcycle. I'm going to be playing in the water, landscaping, all that stuff. I'll post it on Facebook. You can follow me at Brooks Agnew. Follow me on X at Agnew Brooks. And we will see you next Sunday right here at America Free Radio.
listening to Revolution Radio.